We are waiting for individuals to arrive. As soon as they arrive, we can start because we don't have a quorum. Oh, Mike is online. Okay.
I am online and I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Good. Then we can begin. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the June 18th, 2024 Morgan County Commission meeting. We appreciate everybody coming. Tonight, we did not have a work session beforehand, and we will begin with an invocation and moment of reflection by myself, and then we'll go on to everything else. Our dear Heavenly Father, this afternoon, we're very grateful for this opportunity which we have to gather in a public meeting of commissioners and elected officials and members of the public to discuss the things that are necessary to run our government in this county. We're grateful for the opportunities which we all have to serve one another in the different capacities in which we can. We are grateful for the opportunities that we have to be free and to be able to go about our lives in the ways that we would like to, within the constraints of rules and law. We are grateful for this valley and the picturesque and the beauty that we have surrounding this valley. We pray that at this time we will be able to make those decisions that are necessary to keep this valley the way it is as much as we can, and to continue with the progress that we are doing to help all residents of this county and those that visit us. We also pray that we will be able to have a good discussion this evening, to discuss those matters that need to be come before us as a commission. And we pray for all those that are listening online, that they will be able to hear the discussions that happen, and that they will be able to understand what we do. These things we pray for with much gratitude in our hearts. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Please repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have Mike Newton is online with us from somewhere back east. He's enjoying a family vacation, and Matt is on a vacation, I guess. We appreciate everybody else that's here. Tonight we're going to begin with the consent agenda items. And is there anything that needs to be removed from within this agenda,
I
or
request that we move item 5 until the approval of action item 4, I believe.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. So that'll be put at the beginning of the agenda, or the action items. Okay.
Well, if we can move it till after action item,
Number, what was it?
it's 4. And you said you had corrections to the meeting minutes, Commissioner Fackrell?
Yes.
Are those
I
all?
have gone and submitted
Stated?
those to Katie, and I don't know if there's anybody else that has any corrections to the minutes.
Sorry. Action item 5 is the one I need. Action item 5. Consent item 5 to be tabled till after action item 5.
Just had one comment on those minutes. It's item 5, nomination of citizens to the planning commission. Yeah, subpart D says, I made a motion to nominate Steve Wilson from the Porterville area.
Okay. Any other? Okay, nothing else. Jared, anything from you? Mike, you're okay with everything?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Okay, it has been moved to accept the consent agenda items.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Anderson. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And Jared said his before I said so. Okay, unanimous. Okay. All right, let's move on to item number C. Is there any commissioner declarations of conflict of interest tonight? Here, seeing none, we'll move on to the public comment section of the agenda. The public comment period of time is for individuals to come up. It is not a two-way conversation. It's just you telling us the conversation or what you would like to tell us or that we need to be concerned about and look into. And anybody that wants to come up will be given 3 minutes. The time is now yours. Okay. Hearing none or seeing none, unless somebody would like to. There's discussion on the back row, so I just wondered if there's any comments. Okay. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item number E. This is a presentation by the Morgan County Economic Opportunity Board, and they're coming up. John Barber and Andrew Willis.
Good evening, Commissioners. We're at the point where we're bringing forward people that have applied for the local grant that we use our rural grant from the state for. And the grant committee was myself, Steve Gale, Trace Wardell, Greg Madrine, and Andrew Willis. So, and Blaine Fackel was our liaison. Next slide, please.
Well, we want to start first with the weight room, but in preparation of this, I just wanted to mention, some may have forgotten, that Morgan County has been considered the healthiest county in the state since 2010. That is quite a while. And actually is one of the healthiest counties in the U.S. So it's great that a couple of these are health-related businesses that we're supporting. But the first one is the weight room. Kenzie and Jose Patino, they requested $5,000, and we approved $5,000 for use with additional equipment for continued growth. Their business has been growing dramatically. They do weight training, muscle growth, and so one of the few and one of the top weight rooms like this in the state. The next one. Yeah, this is an example of, this slide's an example of some of the students training in the weight room.
Okay, the next one, Brian Haddock, he was successful last year, and he bought a screen printer for $85,000. I think we give him 10,000. So, and he's paid that off in a year. Hired a couple people, so he requested some funds for some screen printing equipment. And we went over and visited with Brian. Andrew and I did, and went through his place and looked at what was going on. This will afford him jobs. He's probably going to hire a minimum of 2 people. They'll be part-time, but additional sales tax as well. So Brian is just an incredible business owner in town, and he does a great thing for everybody around. So that's our second. And there's some, if you go to the next slide, there's some of the stuff that Brian's doing.
Yeah, that's his current screen printing equipment. He's going to be, this one shows some of the equipment he's looking at buying. Again, with Brian, he always contributes a lot more to this than we contribute to him. So it's good to give back to Morgan County businesses that are growing so quickly. Okay, the next one is Higbee Honey. Last time we helped Mike buy hives, and he bought the hives, brought them in and out of groves of trees and around the country, and which helped him develop new strains of honey. Now he's built, I hope all of you have been to Higbee Honey on Commercial Street. If you haven't, you need to go. It's an incredible place. Plus he has honey tasting. So he has a honey tasting bar, which is really unique. So Mike wants to use the funds to raise awareness to the fact that he has a store on Commercial Street. As he builds his brand around the country, people will come to Morgan to visit Mike's store on Commercial Street. So this just helps him add that much more awareness. Again, not just to Morgan County, but beyond Morgan County, to have visitors come visit his store. And he asked for 10,000. We approved 5. We aren't funding inventory, so we're funding things that the businesses want for growth. Mike wanted 5,000 for inventory. We approved the 5,000 he wants for marketing. Again, the next slide.
One thing before, in that, in every one of these, in your reports and in the packet, if anybody else read it online, it tells how much the business is growing because of what we did last year, and it's helping for this year, hopefully producing that much more, which ends up being economic development of sorts.
Yeah, on
in
each
our
of the
county.
slides, good point, Commissioner Fackrell. On the bottom of every slide, it says what the benefit to the county is. In Higbee Honey, it's additional jobs and sales tax. And then the next slide, a little bit showing you inside and the outside of the store. So he's committed to helping people come to Morgan County and see what he loves so much about being located here. And his premier honey, as you will find when you go to his store, is his Morgan Valley honey. That's his premier, and it is fantastic.
And I challenge all of you to go buy some because it is absolutely the best. One thing I want to add about Higbee Honey is he's got a long-term goal to do I don't know whether they call it a refinery or what it is, but he has got a processing plant. He wants to do a processing plant in Morgan County, and there's only 2 honey processing plants in the state of Utah. So that'll increase the amount of people that are up here and the amount of income we get.
It also in that processing plant, that's basically where they bring in the hives, and it's not just in Utah. That's in the Intermountain West, is where there's only 2 processing plants now. And according to what he was telling me, this project is, with him being able to do a processing plant, he's going to be bringing in hives from all over the western United States, bringing them in for others and being able to extract the honey and then be able to give it back to the others, but for a price,
Right.
which is going to bring in dollars to our county.
Exactly. We're working with him because I'm sure he'll be back next year looking for some money as well. The next one, if you go to the next slide, please, is Milk Barn Creamery. I'm sure you're all aware of them. Garrett Kippen is the project manager. They asked for $4,352, and we have approved $4,352. They've got it right down to the dollar. Investing capital to open their new store and build a new production facility has limited their ability to expand until their financial obligations have been satisfied. They now want to apply for the grant funds for equipment that they will use to expand distribution of ice cream products to wholesale customers and catering events around the state. And what this is going to do, allow them to have a mobile truck, or if you will, that they can go to different events and set up and sell their creamery products. So if you go to the next slide, that's what they're looking at doing right there, so they can go to, like I say, different events, the county fairs, and all those kinds of things. So we're really excited about that.
Plus, they have a big billboard down in Weber County saying to come to Morgan. That's a nice thing to have. Same with the bacon bombs.
Yeah. The next one is Mountain Green Aviation Services. They requested 10,000. We approved 8,000. Buster has built a hangar at the airport where he wants to service the aircraft there, as well as aircraft that are coming to Morgan. He will be hiring 2 high-paid positions for techs, and he'll use this money to buy tools that they'll use to repair the aircraft. And again, the main benefit here is just added jobs and high-paying jobs for the area. The next one shows the inside of the hangar.
Yeah, and those jobs are close to 6-figure jobs. They're going to be really high-paying jobs, so we're excited about that. Marina Eldridge, she was successful last year, and she come back again this year. She requested 15,000. We approved 15,000 because she wants to buy bikes for training of the mountain bike teams, both for the high school and local areas. The total cost of these bikes is 58,000, and it's going to increase her revenue by 12,000 per month, and it'll give people access to the gym 24/7 to ride these bikes. So she's going to create a mountain bike training facility for the 200 plus kids on the mountain bike team and others, and become a destination gym. So the benefit there is added jobs. We can go to the pictures there. There's her gym.
Okay, the next two, and this is the first time we've had Young submit applications. And this one is for a bedliner operation. And you can see what it looks like. They want to do bedliner installations, and this will result in additional jobs for the county.
This other one that Young's applied for, we had not approved this prior to today by email, because we didn't know exactly what the Black's Buck facility was, and they come back and told us what it was, so we did an email blast and had everybody approve it, so we had unanimous approval. Well, we had 6 people approve it out of our 10 people on our board. This is an 18-bay off-center associated with the Ford store. Customers will not have to access it. It's kind of an off-site warranty facility. It includes 550 and 650 and motorhomes that they're going to be repairing. And from my experience in the business, those are big ticket items because they're generally a lot to fix, and there's sales tax collected on that. There will be cranes and splitters to work on tractors, plus power sport vehicles. And the things about tractors is you have to split them in order to do any work on the transmission and engine, so they need those electric overhead cranes to do that. This is this facility has a conference room upstairs and digital equipment, resources to train and educate techs, which is really needed. And there will be security inside and outside the facility, as well as lock fence. 16 bays will be utilized by the dealerships, both the Polaris store and the 2 stores across the freeway, and 2 bays will be donated to Morgan High School to revamp their automotive courses. The benefit to this is added jobs and added sales tax.
Okay, the next one is the Scotsman Center. And for the commissioners that have seen this happen the last few years, you'll see how how the grant program has grown. The Scotsman Center currently does horseboarding, riding lessons, livestock shows, dog training, self-storage, RV parking, community events. Last year, they tested farmers markets. Worked really well. And they want to grow the farmers markets. The next slide will show some photographs. The next two slides show some photographs from the farmers markets. This has been very successful. They want to use these funds, and they asked for $6,600, and we approved $6,600 because it will bring added jobs and sales tax to the area. The vendors fill out a sales tax report for the Utah State Tax Commission for the year, and then they file sales tax to the state. And so they file that as Morgan sales tax.
So that's the last of our grant recipients. We also, I think you have one of these in your packet, and it's who we recommended not to fund. And there's a couple on here that Andrew and I are there's a used car lot here, a guy we've agreed to meet with him. He's only been in business a year, so we're gonna meet with him and try and get him on track. So there's others there that we elected not to fund. But Braxton Nye was B&N Motorsports. It would be really nice to have a used car lot up here to augment what the Ford and Chrysler store are selling. So we agreed to meet with him and help him out with some things. Luke, how do you say Majeski has a detailing store, and he's only been in business for about a year. We need a little more time under his belt so he can get things going, and we're going to meet with him as well. And we have Morgan Thomas, Mountain Green Music Academy. We just felt like he needed some more time under his belt as well, and so those are the ones that were not successful.
They were very, very close.
Yeah. But as it was, we ran out of money. So anyway, one thing that's interesting, if you look at Diane Carver, she's with Brighton Blades. We elected not to fund them. They've had some problems with internet issues because they're selling knives, and those can be considered weapons. So we had them go out and do a different marketing plan, and they're going to come back and see us again next year. So any questions we might have?
I think the one thing we need to point out is you authorized us to spend $50,000. You can see that we're asking, because of the addition of the young grant applications, we're asking for $58,952.
Oh, this is actually one of my favorite times of the year. I love seeing what the county can do to help small businesses. The other favorite time of the year is when you come back and report of what those monies have done for them. It's an amazing thing. If it were my own money, I would double it. So, but I just think it's an amazing thing, and appreciate all your guys' time too, and the board for getting together and evaluating at everything, going out to these businesses. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and I would definitely recommend that overage of $8,952 for approval.
One other thing that we've done, Commissioner Anderson, that I think is noteworthy is last year we commissioned a local guy in town to build us a CRM. And in that CRM, the Business Resource Center just hired a full-time secretary. So we're gonna be able to input into that CRM how well they've grown, how it helped them, all that kind of stuff. We'll be able to analyze it and have a lot better analyzation for you guys to do. So,
It's my understanding that we had a lot more grant applicants this year.
oh yeah.
Yes.
And I think that was because of Kate's help with sending out that mailer. That was.
Nope, it was with Penny from the clerk auditor's office and the admin at the city giving us their list of
Yeah.
people that had business licenses. So.
Yeah, Kate and Ty were really helpful in getting us the business addresses for everybody, so we sent out a countywide mailer and got a lot more applications this year, and we'll probably redo that again next year.
So if you did not get a grant postcard, please come in and license your business so that you can get one next year.
And make sure your email is correct
Yeah.
also, because it will be coming out in, I think we've got it planned for December or January. We're going to send out the information so that in January we can look at it again and start working towards the grants before June of next year.
We want to start a little early so Kate doesn't have to.
Right,
We're just going really fast. So,
right. And we're not going to be approving this until later in the agenda, so we can't do it right now.
Is there any questions we can answer?
We just thank you for all your work.
No, great job. So is there a budget resolution later for the eight?
No, we don't have to worry about it because it's within that budget that well, I mean, it's within the, and for everybody in the public's information, this is from a grant given to us by the state of Utah. It is not coming from county monies, which is kind of nice. And not kind of, it's great. The grant is what helps develop different economic products or economic opportunities within our county. And so therefore the full budget we had in there, 50,000 for the grant, and we had about 10,000 that was in other incidental items within the budget. And we still have an excess, and those excess funds will be used for our dome project. So there is money there within the whole project.
And if I could add one thing, this slide will show you that we have created there is a real ecosystem for small businesses in Morgan County. And it shows what tourism does on one side, and then what all the people are that are supporting businesses in the county, and we really appreciate the support we receive from the county commission. Thank you very much.
May I just say one more thing? You guys are doing a great job. There's 2 other members of the board that are in here, and they're in the back. And Teresa Wardell is part of the Morgan Chamber, or she's the chair of the Morgan Chamber. And the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, when I talked to her after our meeting this last month, after you guys had presented this to her, she says this is fantastic, what you guys are doing here in this county for that, with that money, and they are appreciative of that. So, and then that slide there you've got, it says more than meets the eye. After the Utah Office of Tourism came up here and saw our county, it is more than what meets the eye. So,
And then the other member in the audience is?
Mayor Gale, sorry. Hey, he's just like the rest of us, elected official. So, appreciate it. Appreciate all your work. All right. Next item. Okay. On to the action items, and the first one will be from the consent agenda. No, that one's going to be, we put it on to after number 5.
Correct.
Okay? All right, so let's go to number 1, F1, Janelle Walker. She is our county assessor.
Make this a little taller so I don't have to bend down. Janelle Walker, Morgan County Assessor. Thank you, Commissioners, for letting me speak today. I have been listening about this on the past meetings as well, just online. So I thought it would be good to, as well, to come in and just kind of explain things a little more. Our intent is to improve and continue using forward use of small town business. The small town GIS from Jeff Ward is who is using that. We kind of this last week discussed with all of the department heads that are affected by the GIS and the reasons why there is a need to keep small town GIS in the assessor's office until the remainder of the year, or as the GIS systems, which is Wasatch Civil and ProWest, are functioning and running proficiently. It is now understood the need of why we need to keep moving forward with the GIS, and that we need to make sure until there's other things in place and running proficiently. So things that the GIS does in the assessor's office. We use GIS daily to visually see what we are assessing. We go through and we make any changes, especially when we have new subdivisions coming through. It also helps us to be able to use in our detailed review, so the 1/5 of the county that we are detailing review, it finds escaped property as well. It helps with our mapping and the courses of which we are going to be driving in our detailed review. So it will also help with our optimal usage of time and gas, so that we have a good driving direction when we are outside in the field as well. It helps us understand a little better with our neighborhoods when we are assessing, to be able to value similar characteristics as well as other areas in the county, to use visually what the differences are and where they're located. We also use the layers to help us understand the phases of development. In our Wasatch Peaks particularly, we have each phase different colors to manage where the phases are and how it's evolving, as well as where it has been. So we have that layer as well. And then the other layer would be that I use on a daily basis, would be the green belt layer. That was something that we discussed as department heads as well, and we had kind of passed that. So we need to make sure that that layer is there, because I use it all the time, whether we're putting them back on FAA or taking them off. So that is also an important task that we also do. Using Small Town GIS has been helping us for this requirement to be able to assist the assessor's office. Jeff has been working with the assessor in our past for the last 9 years. In a lot of ways, the last 9 years, really, our GIS has been used probably the most by the assessor's office as well, making sure that we are seeing those visually, because it helps a lot more to be able to see it than just by using a paper information of where the meets and bounds are. So I guess more of the request is just making sure that he will be updating and cleaning up the map of the breakoffs that is happening in the recorder's office and happening for that year of assessing. This will also help us with all the new growth of all the building permits that we have, to make sure that we can get to them. And then also with the green belt layer, we will be working with Wasatch Civil, or also the recorder's office in the future, to be able to see where that progress will go, to make sure that those things are updated with the green belt layer. So he will also be working with the precinct layer for voting. And I know that this year is a big year of changing, so that's one thing, making sure that that's staying up to date. I think my whole thought process was, I'm using a tricycle and I have to wait for a bike. Until I get the bike, I have to stay on the tricycle in a lot of ways. Jeff has been very good working with the assessor's office, and we have been able to, he's very quick at responding, and he knows a lot more than what he's even doing for the assessor's office. So, I've had a good relationship with him, and I know that our previous assessor, Gwen, was able to work with him very well in all the things that she would ask for him to change or to update. So one thing that going forward I have talked with Garrett, and him and I have gone through and made a contract for him to be able to, he also has corrected that, so I can pass that off to Garrett of what he's corrected. He's redlined some of the things when I was trying to make it up,
So I'll give the credit to Janelle for getting the body, but I did make a few suggestions, and so if we go to the first page, Jeremy, of that. So I just removed Small Town GIS, and then indicated that Jeff Ward would be defined as the service provider through the rest of the document, because that's how it's referenced. And then just made the contract between Morgan County rather than specifically Morgan County Assessor and Clerk Auditor, and then define that as client. If you look at term, the way we have updated that, because the intent of the contract was that it begins in June and then continue month to month through December 2025, I think is the latest that we envision it would take for the other systems to get up and running. And so that change has been made. And then also in section 3, it's limiting that $3,000. And then I added in a calendar month without written authorization, because the intent is to have this available to the assessor month to month, not just limiting it to $3,000 for the entire contract and coming in and approving a contract every month. Subsection 8 on the next page, we just inserted Utah as the jurisdiction for the laws that will be applied. And then we just changed the small town GIS to service provider to be in line with the agreement, changed the assessor to client, and then inserted Lane Fackrell as the Morgan County Commission Vice Chair. So those are the changes that were made.
So, after that, thank you, Garrett. Is there any other questions that you may have?
Yeah, that answered most of my questions. I do have one. Well, I guess two. The very first one's pretty easy, but we probably ought to change Morgan to Morgan. Might just change that. I think we all know what we're talking about. But and then number 2. So I guess I have a little bit of concern and appreciate what you said, Janelle, and Jeff's work with the county over the years. I know he's specialized in what he does with GIS and does it well, and so we appreciate that work. If he's done work the last 2 weeks, but we won't sign it, and, well, if it's approved and it's signed tonight, how do we? I guess I want to make sure
What's going to happen with the amount?
Well, the document says the term of the contract shall begin on June 1st. But we
Right,
won't
because
sign
it's
it.
already been going forward, like we've already started the beginning of the year. So what we would end up having that when July actually transfers, we are using the GIS money that Josh already has established for the GIS, and we would just be transferring that over to me.
So I guess, Garrett, I want to make sure, because we're signing it, if it's approved and we sign it tonight, that it can also pay for those first couple weeks of June.
Right. So, Janelle, would it be that this is starting July 1st or June 1st, I guess?
Well, he's doing all of July, so we'll pay him for June in July. So all of the June is being accounted for right now.
So is it accounted for in the old contract or the new contract?
I think that's the question, is up until this is signed, is it at the old rate or the new rate?
So
and is
go
it
back
starting?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So we would go back
So
2
that's the
weeks.
request, is to go
Got
back.
a June 1 effective date if we approve it tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, if by chance he needs more than 40 hours in a month because you've got a huge workload, then what?
I guess I have him stop. No, I think
No,
I think
you
what
don't.
we need to do is, if we can keep it at the 40 hours. I know that's one thing that he's kind of been working on, but if we need to adjust times and stuff, I guess I will come up and ask for that.
So do we want to put in the contract anything that says,
Well, it does say you can't exceed it without written authorization, so with written authorization, he could.
right, but whose authorization?
It would have to be the county, because that's who the contract is, just USIP and all those things. You know, when we
Right.
enter a contract, we do it as the county. But you could say without written authorization from the Morgan County assessor, and then that would put it on Janelle to make that determination rather than the client, which is technically
Right.
the whole commission representing the county.
Okay. All right.
I think that would be a good change.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution CR 24-45, approval of the agreement and fee schedule with Small Town GIS for services provided to the Morgan County Assessor's Office with the changes discussed this evening.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner McConnell, seconded by Commissioner Anderson, to accept the resolution CR 24-45, approval of the agreement and fee schedule for the Small Town GIS for services provided to the Morgan County Assessor's Office with all of the other recommendations that have been stated. Is that correct?
Yes.
I mean, I can't remember everything you said, so. Okay, all those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
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 Okay. It's unanimous.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do you want me to get this to you later after we make the corrections and then we can have?
After you have the corrections done by Garrett or Kate,
Then we'll
bring
get them
it to me
corrected and I'll
get it
have
cor-
Jeff sign it as well.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much.
just let me know when. All right, next item, number 2, Leslie, our county clerk auditor.
Good evening. So first off, I need to tell you, I did not put together this presentation. Penny did. So I can't take any credit for this.
Where's Penny?
She's home.
Okay.
Would you like me to go through and list all the pros and cons? It's in your packet. What would you like me to do?
Does anybody have a suggestion? Mike?
I
I've
definitely,
looked at the packets, so I don't know if it's necessary to go through all of it in detail, but maybe you give highlights, Leslie.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, highlights and just general comments.
So this is definitely going to bring us up to speed on getting business licenses approved. Right now, we're doing it through a manila folder with all the information, and it's passed from office to office. This will also help us use one system instead of Cassell and Civic Review. It's going to be a little more upfront cost, but once we take into consideration what we pay Cassell, because we won't be using Cassell anymore, and our mailing costs, it won't be too much for us to do next year. It's just a cost this year. I know Penny's working on wanting to, improve or update our fees for business licensing, which will also help. And I think this will be better for the public. They can pay online. They won't have to come into the office or pay by a check through the mail. All around, I think it's just a better option. I think Josh's office really likes Civic Review, and my office has been impressed with it so far. So
And this will also allow them to apply online rather than paper.
correct. And our renewals can be done through Civic Review also instead of the mail.
The biggest thing I saw with it is the time savings that it would be. However, I have one concern,
Okay.
and that is next year the cost goes up quite substantially. And, well, it goes to $8,100.
I'm not sure. I thought it was going down because we weren't
Or
paying
maybe
for
that's the
Cassell.
total contract with them.
So the total cost for Civic Review will go up like $2,000
Okay.
because we're moving into a new tier, but we paid like $8,100 this year for the tier that we're in. So it's not a huge jump. It's just like
Okay, so basically then what it is you're gonna take Civic Review and add on to what we've been doing and add more to it, just kinda like we did with Cassell, where we added components onto Cassell, and now we're gonna take one component away, so we won't have to pay Cassell that money. Is that correct?
that's correct. So Civic Review is based on number of applications you get, and their tier system is like 0 to 1,000 is the first tier, and that's what we're in. And then with the addition of the airport and the clerk's office, it'll jump to tier 2. So there will be a jump of about $2,000.
Can you show that tier 2 on there for us, Jeremy, please? Okay, so tier 2 is at 1,000 to 1,500, is that correct?
That's correct. So with their additional per year, it'll be approximately 1,350 some odd applications. So we'll be in the tier 2, which is like 8,100 or whatever.
And so then the following year, or sometime within the year, which is very likely and possible, is as more businesses come to this county, that we could be jumping into the next level within that same, and that's including your permits also, is that correct?
That's correct. So
Okay.
if we get to the point where we jump over 1,500, then it'll move it into the next one.
How many have you been doing within your department?
Well, that's the number, 676 approximately. I don't know when
Oh, okay.
this
All right.
data. It's probably more than that now.
Okay.
I don't know when that data was taken, but to date, just single-family residences, are we over 100 already? We're over 100.
Yeah, so-
So
Yeah, it says on there the estimated, looks like 811 for now, but
that's the estimate. Will probably
Yeah.
be more.
Okay, because I know that there's about 1,300 businesses in Morgan County, right? Approximately. Approximately 1,300 businesses in Morgan County, even though it doesn't show it here.
430 licenses.
That's how many have gone and done a business permit
So that
in the county.
that 1,300 number, that's the total anticipated applications that we'll receive this year after we add this.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Josh.
Any other questions? Any other statements? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement with Civic Review for the merchant license software services with the funding to come from the fund balance.
second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner McConnell, seconded by Commissioner Anderson, to enter into an agreement with Civic Review for an extension of the merchant license, software services, and request funding from the general fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, vote is unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate that.
You're welcome. Do you think we're gonna end up using more of their processes with Civic Review at a later point, such as marriage licenses or anything like that?
No, Jeremy has an awesome program he's developed for marriage licenses that doesn't cost us anything, so.
Well, we'll take that then. Okay,
We're gonna stick with Jeremy.
all right, sounds good. All right, next item on the agenda. Leslie again.
Hi.
Go ahead.
So, I'm just here seeking approval of the certified tax rates for 2024. I'll just give you a little summary of how tax rates work. We set a budget for the year, and then the State Tax Commission takes our budget and divides the total budgeted amount by the total taxable value of all the property in Morgan County, and that's how our rate is determined. We did not increase taxes for this year. Values are going up, and so our rate has gone down. The rate from the general fund went from 0.001540 for 2023 to 0.001466 for 2024. The library went from 0.000120 to 0.00114. Flood control went from 0.000011 to 0.000010. Capital improvements went from 0.000057 to 0.000054. Health went from 0.000087 to 0.00083. And assessing and collecting went from 0.000267 to 0.00253. So there you have it.
I know those were a lot of numbers. Can we just say the general fund number one more time from?
The decimal point number.
Yeah.
So it went from 0.00154 to 0.001466.
Okay. Question. It's more for the assessor. Because of the value of the properties that have increased this year, how is that going to affect a person's pocketbook? I mean, because we're going to collect 3.7 million based on that rate, but if the value of their home has gone up $100,000 on their home, they're going to be paying more. Is that correct?
So their value can still go up, but it all comes down to the truth and taxation part of what everyone needs. So if our tax value goes down, it will actually kind of even itself out. So they might pay a little more, but it will be very similar to the year before. If nothing changes. Now I can't say that because I don't know if anything's going to change. So if
Okay.
our tax rates are going to change, or the amount that we need for the truth and taxation part, that's where the value of the taxes will change.
Okay. And that, for the public's information, that is the value based upon January 1st of 2024.
Yes, so the assessor values as of January 1st of every year what the market value is.
Okay. And the rest of it, for everybody in the public, is based upon what we budget
Exactly.
coming up for
For
well, no,
taxes.
what we budgeted last year for the year 2024, correct? All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2024 tax rates, setting the Morgan County 24 tax rate as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Moved by Commissioner McConnell, seconded by Commissioner Anderson, to approve the 2024 tax rates for setting the Morgan County 2024 tax rates as explained. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. It's unanimous again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number 4. Sorry, my eye just went bad.
So the commission had requested that I put this on the agenda, as we still had 2 at-large seats, and then Commissioner Wilson had not nominated, for his area. That's the only reason it's on here. If there's no nominations or you want to table, I just put it on here because it was discussed that the 2 at-large seats may be appointed today.
Okay. Do we by chance, have you guys thought about anybody for the at-large positions? Do we want to accept any of the applications that we've already received, or not? Or do we want to hold off another week, another time?
It'd be good to get Commissioner Wilson's input.
Yeah, for his, but what about the at-large positions? We have 2
Well-
at-large.
Meaning, depending on who he recommends.
Oh, that's true.
Might weigh in on those at-large positions.
Okay. All right. So, do we postpone, or can we just, I don't know what we can do. Can we postpone?
You can postpone to the next meeting.
Okay.
There we go, I'm there now. Mr. Vice Chair, make a recommendation we postpone Resolution CR 24-55, nomination and appointment of citizens to the Morgan County Planning Commission.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Anderson, seconded by Commissioner McConnell to postpone Resolution CR 24-58 for the nomination and appointment of citizens to the Morgan County Planning Commission. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Commissioner Newton?
Yeah, I said aye, but maybe it didn't catch me.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right,
As an aside, we have had additional applications.
okay.
Would you like me to set up in work session or if you'd like me to set up a work session for next meeting, any applicants that you haven't interviewed, I'm happy to do that.
Yes. I would appreciate it. Motion is passed. All right. Next item, number 5 is from Kate Becker, our County Administrative Manager. Is that what? Are we ready for that?
Sorry, it looks like I might have swapped around my documents in the packet. So that's action item 5 is actually for the approval of the distribution of the Community Economic Opportunity grant funds that were presented in the presentation.
Okay, so would that be before we do, because you've got here additionally approving the annual report. Do you want to postpone that portion of it, or?
That was part of the action, that was part of consent agenda. So I can't report what we spent the money on until you
Oh,
guys
that's right.
choose to approve or
Okay,
disapprove.
so we're gonna do the first part, which is just the grant funds.
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Anybody have any questions on the grant funds and how it was attained? Do you want to approve? It's all up to you. Or to us.
Explain the
What's that?
funding. I'm happy to explain the funding source.
You can if you'd like. I
So,
already did.
so the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity in their Part A grant gives the county $200,000 a year for community and economic development. The county commission in its budget last year and actually the last several years has allocated $50,000 of that $200,000 for small business economic opportunity growth grants. So we do have originally in the budget before anticipating that 50,000 would be spent, not including the 50,000 that was already allocated for this project, we still have $98,000 left in that fund. We also already have agreement with the GOEO, the State Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, to take any funds that we have not expended that are left over by the end of the month to put towards the East Dome project.
So we did get the office to agree that that would be a good use
Yes.
of those funds.
Correct.
Yes, we did.
We just
receive
have
that
to
last-
annotate that we're rolling those funds into our 2025, 2024, 2025, 200,000 amount for the purpose of finishing the East Dome project.
That's the East Canyon Dome project.
Yes. Apologize.
So do you want the motion on the report first, or the distribution?
So if you go,
The distribution.
Jeremy, down 2 pages, I believe. There you go. So the requested total, which is at the top third, requested total is $58,952, which would encumber all of the presented grant applicants, unless you wanted to exempt one or remove one, because they're a nominating body and you're the deciding body.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the distribution of the 2024 Morgan Community Economic Opportunity Program grant funds in the amount of $58,952 for the recipients as presented this evening.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the distribution of the 2024 Morgan County Economic Opportunity Program grant funds in the amount of $58,952 as explained to us earlier tonight. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. And Mike said aye at the beginning, so it's unanimous.
So then the
Okay.
second part of that is, so these grants are mid-year, so they're due, I have to report what we spent the money on June 30. So I'll be reporting that we spent $58,952 on the small business community economic opportunity grants, and that we are rolling $89,400 over for the East Canyon, and then the rest were used as was budgeted, which is for our dues to the chamber, our work with Davis Tech, and work with our tourism board.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the annual report for the GOEO Part A 2023-2024 submission, reporting the amounts as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner McConnell, seconded by Commissioner Anderson, approving the annual report for the GOEO Part A 2023-2024 submission. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Okay. Okay, now we need to go back to the
That, you just
consent.
passed it.
Oh, we just did it.
Mhm.
Okay,
I'm dumb and I put it in there twice.
okay, thank you.
So the next item is what you want in the RFP to go out for impact fee analysis. We've talked about this in piecemeal, both with needs for impact, or I'm sorry, not impact fees, but a fee analysis or explanation for the fees in the clerk auditor's office so that we no longer get audit findings on that. We also have a lot of fees that need and looked at in the planning office, such as right-of-way. I'm sure you could make a whole list, and I put 2 pages worth in here. And then we've talked about getting a new impact fee analysis, and so it would be the plan and the fee calculation for the 3 impact fees we have currently, which is transportation, community parks, and regional parks. But we had also discussed at one time that we used to have public safety, we used to have fire, and we used to have emergency services. So just needing to know what you want designated in our RFP, and understanding that we'll probably draft the RFP in a way that if something seems high and we don't see the ROI of having that specific line item done, that we would exempt that from the final contract.
So the materials in the packet include a proposal from Zion's Public Finance.
Correct. Because that's what I have as far as numbers.
Okay.
But since it was a
But you want to
proposal,
do a separate RFP to see if we get a proposal
because we
from
never
someone else.
RFP'd it, we just asked them what the cost would be, which is why they,
Okay.
Perfect.
yes. So that's why we only had one submission. It's because we didn't RFP it, we just went and asked about what that would cost. I believe what started it all is Cindy in the clerk auditor's office reached out to Zions Bank and asked what their cost would be for us to do a fee analysis of all fees in the clerk auditor's office. And then that turned into a discussion on impact fees, which then turned into a discussion about the outdated fee schedule and all the gray and murky of passed by resolution, not passed by resolution of certain fees in the planning office. And so because it's been like 6 different conversations, but obviously we'll get more bang for our buck the more expansive the RFP is. I'm just asking what you're willing to allow me to place in the RFP, understanding that there's some items we might not end up contracting for.
Like,
Because I think we talked about in one of these, like there was the range fee, and we didn't see a need in paying, I think it was like $650 for them to give us their opinion on if our range fee was accurate, because we had no intention of increasing it, things like that.
yeah, I guess the way I'm looking at this is it's an impact fee analysis. It is not a
There's
fee
2.
analysis.
There's 2 in here. There's one is impact fee analysis, well, actually there's 3. There's an impact fee analysis that they proposed, there's a comprehensive fee study that they proposed, and then there's the planning department list of fees.
So, okay.
So I'm asking what, we need to go out for RFP. What do you want included in the RFP?
So the monies that we're gonna use to pay for the RFP will come out of the impact fee monies for an impact fee analysis. But if we're gonna do just a fee analysis, we cannot use the funds out of the impact fee to do just a fee analysis.
Correct, but those will be designated, because we'll know how much we're spending. Yeah, $7,000 for a rifle range fee. We'll know when they do the presentation and when they do the bid that X amount is for regional parks, and X amount is for community parks, and X amount is for transportation, so they can come out of those funds. And then we've also talked about the rest of it coming out of the remaining American Rescue Plan Act funds.
So my view is that
Whatever.
you include in the RFP all of these items and include a public safety fee as well.
A public safety fee?
And when I say public safety, I think that could include both fire and.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we include everything we are even thinking about, and then, so I sent you an RFP earlier for the environmental phase 1 for
Yes, I have
the
it.
Morgan Fairgrounds, but that wording has been worked on for years through different firms. So I think it's really good wording, because I don't know if you've seen it, Commissioner McConnell, or not, but some of these RFPs you can send out and say, give a price for each, and then we have the ability to say yes or no to each. So I think if we can use that wording in there, it'd really give us the ability to say, put a cost to each thing, and then we can kind of choose which one we want to do. And we could even have, I know Zion's, their specialty is impact fees. Maybe there's another group that their specialty is leaned more on just fees, and they're lower, so we can choose that group to do that and this group to do that, and kind of mix and match if we need to. But we can write that out in
And I love that.
the RFP.
Yeah,
So-
especially adding a non-exclusivity. Thank you for the
But look
research
at
for
that,
that,
look at that
Commissioner.
wording, because I think it'll really help in future
Yes, thank you.
stuff.
So, I mean, I know this is just parks, I mean, that's what we're looking at, but what about all fees in the county that we charge?
It's listed in
Will
here
this-
as well.
Okay, because I want to make sure we get all the fees correct
Correct.
in whatever way
Oh,
we're
we all
trying to
do.
do it.
We all-
Because,
we
I mean,
want
whether
clarity.
it be, yeah, we want clarity,
The gray. We
Uh-huh.
also want to remove audit findings. I'm a
right,
huge fan of all of this. So,
Yes.
okay, I will include
including attorney fees.
everything. Attorney's fees. Do we have those?
I don't think we do,
But I will also add, thank you for the public safety, fire, EMS.
yes.
Okay,
Is there any other search and rescue? Make sure that's,
that's part of sheriff's office in
Okay.
the state code,
okay.
as is Swiftwater team.
So do you need a motion, or did you just need direction?
I just needed buy-in.
Okay,
Mike, did you have anything specifically you want added or redacted?
No, I'm okay with what you've got.
Okay, and did you want me to bring the final RFP back to commission before posting? So add that to the July agenda?
And it'd be two separate, right? One for impact fees and one for fees.
Okay, you want them separate?
I think that's wise. to do them separate.
Great. Awesome. That's what I needed. Thank you.
okay. Okay, so we don't need a motion, you've got your marching orders.
I do.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is our last item. Amazing, we're done almost. All right, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members of the County Commission. Application number 23.070 is the Shadow Creek Development Concept Plan. The applicant is Casey Lowe. The property owner is Mr. Steve Peterson. The current zoning of the property is RR5. That's because there was a rezone from A20 for both parcels last year in May. The general plan reflects that as a ranch residential 5 designation. The acreage total between the two parcels is 80.19 acres and is approximately located 700 feet northwest of the intersection of West Surrey Lane and North Morgan Valley Drive. This has been in discussion recently with an ordinance that was passed in March, if I'm not mistaken. That's County Ordinance 24-09 that allowed the max allowed of wells in a small subdivision for the applicable zoning to be 15 lots. The proposal for tonight includes 14 lots as pictured on the screen and in your packet, Mr. Vice Chair. A review was conducted, and comments came from the county engineer and the planning department. Specifically, we looked at the requirements for a concept plan in our code, and in particularly we looked at the street infrastructure and found that meets all of the minimum code requirements, and 14 lots being allowed for wells within the county. And this concept plan meets the minimum code requirements per that review. And there was the Planning Commission held their regularly scheduled meeting on June 13. There was only one comment from the public. Talked about current horse riding that happens on the property closer to the Weber River, and request was made to more towards the applicant property owner to see if that could be held, and the address from staff to that comment was that's something for the property owner to decide. The questions from the Planning Commission included what it takes to develop within the floodplain, and staff provided an answer on that and some explanation on that. The vote for that night, Mr. Vice Chair, was unanimous to recommend approval to this body, with Chair Sessions voting that evening due to the size of the quorum. Staff, Josh and I can answer any questions tonight. Thank you.
Jeremy, can you tell me what the hatched area is in back of those existing homes, between the property and the existing homes, what that signifies? Yes.
My understanding is that the owner of the property has promised to dedicate portions of land to those property owners as part of the subdivision process. I believe they're going to divide those off and give them to the other property owners before the subdivision plat is recorded.
That's amazing.
Is there a reasoning for that? Is it just for safety zones, or do you?
I didn't ask.
Okay,
It's not in the code. If they want to do that, they can give away their land.
Again, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's great that they're doing that too. But so that means even with that, they're going to still end up with 5 acres. Is that correct?
The RR5 zoning requires that each lot be a minimum of 5 acres. There's no PRUD, so they can't negotiate lower entitlements or anything like that. So their concept plan appears that it may work. We don't really look into every specific thing. There's a checklist of A through N, and as long as they've included those and it looks like it could conceptually work, we bring it forward for approval. Most of that evaluation will take place during the preliminary plat, where we'll fine-tune the proposal.
Just a couple other thoughts, and I know it's a concept, so we're not there yet. But just the canal that runs through the properties, I'm sure they've got plans on what to do there with that. And then just the other comment I want to make is on that stormwater detention pond on lots 5 and 6. And I'm guessing Shadow Creek Lane will be a public road, or will it be private?
No, they are proposing a public road. That was one of the hold-up. An original drawing showed it to be a private lane, and so they had to modify it, bring it back with a 60-foot right-of-way. That's what they're proposing.
So the other thought then with that detention pond is because that's public and the water's coming off the road and it'll gather in that pond, how that easement works with the existing property. Just a comment. So.
Yep, thank you. That will all be reviewed during the preliminary plat with their grading and drainage plan. Mark Miller and John Biergard will typically provide drainage comments, and we'll determine whether that will work or not.
So what about the canal? What's going to happen there?
The canal is basically a private entity, and they will have to work with the canal.
I think water comes through that and services residents to the west, so I think
So that's not
I'm
the
guessing
main.
they'll probably end up piping it, or,
That's not the main ditch or the main canal,
well, define.
because that's right near the canal where it would be.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by main. I know they've used this to irrigate those properties, but there's also one, the main ditch runs along the other side of Morgan Valley Drive, but I think this one is for those properties and then some properties to the west. So my guess would be they just pipe
Okay.
it
The plat would probably show an easement.
or an easement or an
Bob?
open ditch, either way.
Yeah, open ditch, or if it's piped, there'll still need to be an easement so they can get in there and maintain it.
I hope it will be covered. I mean, culverts or whatever, pipe. Just because of safety for the people. Okay. I noticed in one of your maps, I know that there was 3 parcels or 2 parcels, 3 parcels, I think.
If you're talking about Exhibit B,
B,
the
yeah.
zoning map, that is incorrect. It is
Yeah.
2 parcels. It's the blue
Okay.
and then the one northwest of there.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was both.
So that road coming out as a secondary exit, is that wide enough? Is that 60 feet or what's happening there?
I've measured it. It's about 62 feet,
Wow.
approximately, based on
Okay.
our map. It could be a little off, but
Okay. Let's see if I had any other questions. Okay, any questions from Mike? Commissioner Newton?
No, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I'm waiting for a motion.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'll make a motion. We approve Shadow Creek Development Concept Plan, application number 23.070 for a proposed concept plan of 14 single-family lots located approximately 700 feet northwest of the intersection of West Surrey Lane and North Morgan Valley Drive in Milton, based on the findings and with the conditions listed in the staff report dated June 18th, 2024.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson made a motion and Commissioner McConnell seconded it, to move to approve the Saddle Creek Development Concept Plan, application number 23.070 for a proposed concept plan of 14 single-family lots located approximately 700 feet northwest of the intersection of West Surrey Lane and North Morgan Valley Drive in Milton, based on the findings and with the conditions listed in the staff report dated June 18th, 2024. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All those, well,
thank
it's
you.
unanimous. Okay. Thank you. All right. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Anderson, and I might change this up just a little bit.
Let's see, just a few items, and I know you'll probably want to talk a little bit also about the car show. Commissioner Fackrell, with you having a car entered into the car show, but that was it was a great success. It was awesome to go see all those cars. They had more participants than they have any other year. I think the 2 things that I heard a couple years ago and then I heard again was grass and shade. So they're definitely looking to expand and looking for more grass and shade there. I think we need to continue to discuss the power over at the fairgrounds. We have generators for those vendors. Every time they come in, they got to run their generators. And I know we discussed it, and we're looking to set aside funds for that, but I think we need to get that on a fast track as soon as we can to get that 220 power out there for the vendors for the fair and car shows and everything else that happens there. But amazing event. A lot of good participation there. I had a very good discussion with Rob White. He's a Region 1 director for UDOT. We had some discussions on a state road and stormwater infrastructure and who maintains that stormwater infrastructure. So it was a very good conversation with him. I think he's going to be very reasonable. I foresee the county meeting with UDOT to discuss how that's going to happen. I hope that that will not interfere with any of the residents moving forward, is the hope. Especially if they can show that they're only allowing the release rate of pre-development flows from stormwater. So we had a very good conversation there. Kind of mentioned it a little bit, but got RFP over to our administrative manager for review for environmental phase 1 for our fairgrounds park. So that's moving forward. And I think that's all the updates I've got for now.
Thank you. Commissioner Newton, would you like to go ahead?
I don't have much. I was just going to mention where Commissioner Anderson noted that there's a need to upgrade the electrical at the fairgrounds. But Brett Heiner did get an initial bid from a contractor on that work. I will forward that bid over to the commission just so you have kind of an idea of a dollar amount. Of course, it would need to go out to RFP if we intended to do that, and we'd have to identify a funding source. But I'll send that over to you this evening so you can take a look and just have that in the back of your minds. Outside of that, I don't have anything new.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to skip by me because I'm waiting for people. Oh, they just arrived. Okay. I'd like all of you guys to come on up here. Stand up here for a bit. I'm hoping the camera gets a picture of all of you guys. This is our committee for the auto show, and I want to commend them for a great job that they did with the auto show this year. I think they received in the charity that we did for the Brants Brown family, they did an additional almost $4,000, or maybe right around $4,000, and they had 226 cars that were entered into the auto show, which is about 52 more than last year. The amount of people that were at this event, it looked like a county fair. I mean, it was that crowded. And the vendors did very well. And the nice thing about it is we received sales tax, or we should be receiving sales tax from every single one of them, of the vendors. But the donations that came about for the bikes came from Toby Green's business, or his dealer, that he was able to give a raffle out 4 different bicycles. 2 of them were electric bikes, and the other 2 were motorized bikes for kids. And so that was a neat thing. There were a lot of trophies which these guys built. They built the trophies for every single different event. They had, different prize. There was a prize, Mayor's Choice, which was chosen by a commissioner, which was not me, but a commissioner that was there at the fair. And that went to, I think, a very long-awaited for trophy, which was to Mike Newton's dad, who brings his fire engine every year to all the events. And I very much appreciate that he got that. Each one of these guys put in countless hours, and I just want to say I appreciate all that you've done. It is a great event. Tonight they're here because they want to go over what they did right and what they did wrong, so that next year they can make it bigger. And we want to get to a point to where it fills the whole fairgrounds. I don't know if we'll get it or not, but eventually, and Commissioner Newton, while you're online, as part of our plan in the future, I hope to use one of those fields along with other parts of the fields and put shade trees and water and electricity and all that kind of stuff out in one of those fields that are within the fairgrounds and put lawn, well, it's already got lawn, it's got grass. And to make it into one of those, I know it'll probably be a couple of years before we do that. But those are some visions and ideas that we have. We had our tourism department spent a lot of time advertising this event. And we'll see it when we get more results from the tourism Destination IQ when they come in and present some of the different, how many more people looked at our website and looked at everything that was happening. This was a huge event. This county ought to be proud of it. One way or another, they did it. All I did was just be here. So I appreciate them. And so anyway, that was it for you guys. I just wanted you to be seen by these guys.
Thank you very much.
So, and I think Jared was there. I don't know if you were there or not. It was a great event. Great event. As far as other things that happened, we had a Northern Utah Chamber Coalition meeting last Friday. It was an all-day event up in Beaver Creek Lodge and up in Cache Valley. And at that event, what NUC does, Northern Utah Chamber Coalition, what they do is it's all, instead of each one of us in each of the different counties and different entities fighting for all the money, what we decided to do is, quite a few years ago before I became involved, it was they grouped together to try to have a more powerful voice. Every year at the legislative sessions, every Wednesday morning at 7 o'clock, they have and these are all put on by the chamber, but it's attended by every single, most of the time, every single representative or senator in our region, Northern Area region, and some others from other regions. And they come up there to this morning, and they come in and they listen to the different things that are happening within the Chamber Coalition. And with that area that we have, it'd be Morgan, Weber, Davis, Box Elder, Cache, and Rich counties. As a group, they feel that we have more of a voice with that than just individually. And with that, what they do is we go through a list of everything that is in the priority lists. And these priorities gets whittled down from last weekend until October. And in October, it's a finalized priority list. On that list is our I-84 interchange. Also that list last year, even though there's no money extended or there's no asking for money, it's the power behind the group to put forth our priorities that we want. This last year, of course, it was the property at East Canyon. And this year, the main emphasis is on transportation. It also goes, everything that it has to do with it is mental health, health systems, education, economic development, tourism, outdoor rec, transportation, and even capital facilities. So anyway, what we're trying to do is in that group, we're trying to get more. We need a priority list every year from our county as to what we want to achieve. The two items, of course, that I put on there is the I-84 interchange and the trails as a potential future item that they could emphasize. So anyway, that's just kind of a synopsis for that. I could tell you a lot more, but that's good for now. Can't think of the other item. There was one item I just thought of when I was explaining it. Oh, yes, July 18th. The state of Utah is closing on the East Canyon property at this moment. And they would like us to be in attendance if we can. They will send us details as it gets closer to that time. That is a huge accomplishment of that ground. 2,600 acres, 2,599 acres approximately. And it will be a big, big boon for our county as far as economic development in the future. It won't happen in the next year, but we'll be in the planning stages for the next couple of years. So that will be happening. Put it on your calendars if by chance you can make it. Other than that, I'm going to quit. I meant for tonight.
I'll be out of town on the 18th, but have we made any progress on moving forward the zone changes for the airport overlay and or the housing for persons with disability ordinances?
So I know that with the housing for disabilities, we've discussed it. I don't think that it's moved forward, but I can give that to Janet now. She's been working on a lot of the text amendments. Josh and I have spoken a lot, and to really, do an overhaul on the code, we get to it when we can, but there might be some aspects that may need more. I think one will come up eventually where it might need someone who has some expertise in like traffic impact studies and things like that. But I will get that back on Janet's.
I just
radar.
want us to have a compliant ordinance. I don't have any
Right.
particular initiative there. It's just that the last time we had one of those applications, they said our ordinance was out of compliance, and without saying whether it is or it isn't, I'd like it to verify and make sure we are.
Okay.
Well, what was
I'll
the
follow up on that.
first thing you asked about, the airport overlay?
Yeah, the airport overlay. So I actually prepared a revised draft of that and gave it to the planning department, probably before you were
Okay.
here.
Yeah, okay.
But then
So, like,
I'd mentioned it at the first of the year, so
I apologize.
after tonight's meeting, I'm in my last 6 months, and I'd like to make sure that gets done.
Could you forward it to me again?
Yeah, I'll
Because
find
I
it and send
can't
it to you
guarantee
again.
we still have a copy of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's similar to what was there before, but it reorganizes the committee but I'm looking for recommendations on that as well.
Okay.
And then last time we talked a bit about Dyer's Road, and any report on that?
That's on my list. He has not got back to me. I think he's out of town.
Okay.
But I did reach out. I sent an email and a voicemail.
Okay.
Those flowers are nice and black now.
They are. I think they're called seeds now, not flowers.
That's right. That's right. And before long, they'll produce more plants. Okay. Anything else that anybody would like to discuss? Kate?
A few things. So, forestry. I know we had some email back and forth. I just wanted in public meeting. So, what is our action item on the forestry contract with the lease? Are we gonna work with them on a 5-year?
We are going to work with them on a 5-year. They'd like a proposal with respect to the amount. I
Okay.
thought they would propose to us.
I was thinking that too.
But, so I think, I understand we're going to do a closed session, and I think we can talk about the disposition of real property.
Okay. We have had several, and this might be redundant because I know Matt's not here. We've had several applications for the county fair coordinator that are over a month old, and we haven't selected one. So I don't know what if we have an end date of when we intend to select one, but I do have people asking if we are still, and I said I went ahead and closed the application, just so we would stop receiving additional applications, but
Okay.
we have some that are 7 months old. This is a.
Like you need to schedule interviews with the people.
Yes, and that's another one of my questions is, so right now Matt's been meeting with them one-on-one. When it comes to that and our HR manager, who, what, where, as far as
Salary range,
not a salary range, but a,
interview.
interview panel are you wanting for that?
They'd be a department head, right?
Correct. The HR manager would be a department
Yes.
head. I believe would the fair coordinator be a department head?
Department heads should be under the direction of the commission,
Okay.
unless Commissioner Newton says anything different.
That should be a department head, in my opinion, and should report to the commission.
Okay. So I'll circle back with Matt on that. We have had 4 applicants so far for our HR, even though we have not posted a salary range. Just letting you know on that, and that's on me. Ticket, you gave me an action item of reaching out to the counties similar in our size and seeing what they're paying their HR. We are in the middle of still cleaning up some benefits and URS issues, so I'll be probably coming to the commission at the first meeting in July, so that way it's before the budget meeting, because we're gonna have to eat a lot of crow with URS and benefits that are errored. So just putting a heads up on that. Also, if you do have a budget adjustment, they're due to Leslie, I believe July 3rd by 2 p.m. I am in the process of going through all of our meeting minutes since the beginning of the year and making sure that we've captured everything as far as agreements and grants to make sure those revenue and expense have been captured for those so that there's not a delay. And I will pre-warn you that I have submitted some budget adjustment requests in regards to the court and the attorney's office at the request of the sitting judge, because our caseload, the negative of hiring me is it takes a lot of workload off of your attorney's office, and now you have a fully staffed attorney's office. Plus our neighbors aren't being very neighborly, and so our case log is even higher than it was last year, and last year was double what it was the year before. So I'll be asking for some increases in that just to cover some of the caseload that we have.
Will that come from the amount we allotted from the ARPA monies?
No.
Because we
this is to
allotted quite a
offset.
bit.
That was a,
Right, but we
that
haven't
was-
used them yet.
We've
for
used
that one.
some.
Some, but
And
not all of
talking about
it.
the $16,000 I was allocated for catch-up in case log.
Well, there was 75,000 that we allotted for the attorney's office to handle the caseload increase, and so that was put into our original budget within the ARPA monies.
And I can go back and see how much, I don't know exactly how much we've used, but I don't imagine
It's
it's
not
more
much.
than 15 to 20,000, if
Maybe
that.
that's where I have 16 in my head.
Maybe 16 is what that amount is, and so.
Okay.
But I'm talking more, the judge has requested an increase, and he's going to be appearing for that request, for his admin, and for pay of our current attorney's office staff. So I'm pre-warning you that that's in there.
Okay.
So happy to get you any documentation you'll want ahead of time. And then the last thing that I have is there was an email about the ROI on the East Canyon Dome project. Wanted to know if that answered the questions that allowed me to move forward with posting that RFP or allocating funds from certain line items, or if I'm still on hold with that.
That's up to the rest of the commissioners, because you know my opinion. My opinion is go
Sound like
forward
we
with,
identified some of the funding, right?
We've
Yes.
Source?
Yes, correct.
yes.
So do we know where the site's gonna be yet?
The site, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. It's
oh yeah.
Oh,
It's,
sorry, when you say, oh yeah, we initially said we had a site, but then the bids came back high, so we said, let's not use that site.
Correct.
That, all we did is we moved it down, instead of having a hill like this, now
Right.
we've moved it down to here.
So my question is, again, are we set on the site now? Are we saying this is the site, we're not moving it no matter what happens with the bids? Right?
I hope.
Okay.
We only have a few months.
So that's where the, and I don't want to say Forestry Service, who's the, yeah,
Parks,
our-
East Canyon Parks.
East Canyon Parks wanted to place that, and they've also said that they would take all the backfill because they actually need it, so we don't have to truck it. So I think those were our two major cost
Yes, that was our major
changes in
cost.
the RFP. As far as what dollar amount that would be, that's, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm assuming it would
It'd
be,
be
especially
less.
for the trucking, it would be much less.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, originally that trucking was $196,000.
Yeah, and with the state GOEO office authorizing us to roll Part A funds from this year into that project, that also allocates about $90,000 right there, so that's nice.
And then we have part of the funding for the economic grant for this next year that we can put some of it towards that, but we have not determined that from the CEO board yet. And then we also have the tourism, the TRCC, which we can use as much as we have available for that
Which was
towards this project.
265,000. Okay.
That's without any ongoing monies. That's just from last year's balance.
So with that all being stated, I just need to know my marching orders to post that RFP or table, or not table, but postpone.
And so everybody has read the ROI. Any questions on that? I hope you've read it.
There's definitely questions, but it's an estimate, right?
Yeah, it's an
They're-
estimate.
They're estimating that that's the usage that'll happen with the dome.
No, they're estimating the low usage. They're saying if you only used it for 10%, that's what their amount would be. And Mike had the question, and I think that you guys all got the reply to that also, and that was how much tax money are we going to receive from this? And that's what's so hard. I mean, I answered back with that. And as far as I mean, there's a huge economic impact that it can have for our county in hopefully people, I mean, restaurateurs, whoever might go up there to provide the dinners or the meals or whatever for the corporate groups that might be up there, or for the wedding groups that might be there. There are also facilities already at the state park. Two of them, I think two of them we helped with before we became commissioners. It was when it was in council, and they had those Conestoga wagons. There's two of them up there, and they're very luxurious. They've also got yurts. They also have cabins, and all of those we receive a tax from that. It's a lodging tax, 4.25% that stays in the county for the county's monies, for the TRCC and TRT. So those would stay in here, and those are huge amounts of funds, and that's only if that is rented 36 times in a year. If we were to rent it like we're hoping, between 50 and 100% of all the time, all year round, that ROI is going to go up a whole lot more. And that's just not from sales tax, but sales tax that's used here in the county. Because when we bring people here, when we're bringing people to this county, we're going to be bringing them as a destination where they're going to go and they're going to visit the different places. And that's what we're trying to set up within the tourism board, is that we have destinations for them to go to. We've got 3-day plans, 2-day plans, and we've got outlets. The Utah Office of Tourism is also helping us with promoting these different things. They're looking forward to it, to being able to promote Morgan County for a destination for people to come and visit. It's going to be for, I mean, there's 3-day, you know, they stay 2 nights and they get to visit everything around this county in 3 days. But as the tourism department found out the other day when they were here last week, or 2 weeks ago, they didn't even get to see much of the county. But what they did see, they were very impressed with. And as East Canyon State Park continues to grow, that will even be more, because you're going to be bringing people in here that want to just come up for an evening, that won't use maybe lodging, but maybe they'll come back and do lodging here. It's nice and cool at night up here, up there. And I'm just looking at it as this is a opportunity for us to finish a project that the state of Utah is really looking forward to. We can start to do some astrotourism, as we call it, because we are designated as a dark sky community, and that in particular is on the International Register for Dark Skies. And so if that happens, we're going to be filling not just the dome, but all those other, the yurts, the cabins, now the tiny home, and the state parks are thinking of bringing in other kinds of lodging things where they come in and they stay. They don't even have to bring trailers. They just come and they stay. So there's so many things that are going to be happening within this department and within tourism to help out our economy in this county without bringing in more homes.
So my view on this is that if I might not have actually moved forward to this if we would have known the cost up front in terms of what it has all ended up being.
Yeah, I agree.
It's more expensive than I think anybody anticipated. But we have an agreement, an arrangement with the state of Utah. We've purchased the dome facility. I think it's good that we've identified some funding sources to finish and complete this, and I would move forward with it for that reason.
Just a question on this, Blaine. Who manages the daily rental of the dome? Who's gonna? Because I think depending on what's happening in life, right, inflation and different things. I mean, who adjusts that to be able to bring the people in? Who's going to manage that? How will that?
What that's going to be, to initially, at least this is the discussion we've had with the state parks, is that they will actually be collecting the monies at the state parks, not through their vendors that they have do all the yurts and all that other stuff. They're going to actually be controlling who comes and who goes. They're going to do the scheduling. They're going to do it all for us. That way we know we get the monies from it, and we can actually identify how much money we're receiving from it.
Do we know where the so let's say it's 5,000 for the rental, what percentage goes where? Or who's gonna?
State parks will receive it.
So we're, okay.
And they have to file a quarterly report, just like most of the businesses in this county. They have to file either a monthly or a quarterly report on the amount of sales they bring in.
They
And
gotta
that,
be grinning from ear to ear.
what's that?
They have to be grinning from ear to ear for
Oh, yeah.
us to put all this money in for a structure and they get the money
Well,
from it.
Like originally, you know, I didn't expect it to be that much. That was 2.5 years ago. Things have happened a lot since then. I mean, it was scheduled to do it for under $100,000 in addition to the dome. So $200,000 for the whole project. And now it's costing us 4 times that, 3 times.
Yeah, I
It
guess
is.
I'm not disagreeing with Commissioner McConnell. I'm really not. I think we've invested enough time into this, and we have the dome, and we're doing our best to bring those numbers down. I guess to add, I would also agree that we move forward, but I really would be interested in maybe an agreement with the parks to say, look, this went way over budget. This money is not coming from the parks. It's coming from the county. So, yes, there's sales tax, but if there's some kind of agreement where we can say, let's at least be able to recoup some of this initially to help us out, I think that'd be better than, I don't know what they do with the money, but I don't know. I just a thought. I don't know, we're just putting in a good amount of money, and it'd be nice to see a little bit of a rate of return.
Good idea to pursue.
Yeah, that's something I can talk to him about. Okay.
I agree with what's been said by both of the commissioners, and I had that same thought, Commissioner Anderson, that maybe we ought to ask for a percentage share on the lease revenue for a time period, or up to a certain dollar amount, is kind of a payback on the, given that the costs have far exceeded what we originally planned.
Okay. All right. I will call the state parks, but I'm sure they will do the best they can to help us or give us some money.
So as far as the RFP order,
We
Go-
should move forward
move
with
forward.
it
Okay.
so that we can get the costs fixed.
Now, do we want to?
2024 instead of in 2025.
So, do we want to go with us being the contractors or have a contractor? So that we sub everything out, or do we? And that was my proposal last time. Is we could go and do it. We can sub out everything. Commissioner
I think we'd be
Newton?
better off having a contractor do the whole project. I worry about us getting involved to a level where it ends up costing us more because we're trying to save a few dollars.
Okay. All right.
Great.
I will work with Kate on getting the RFP out.
Okay, and then my last thing is we are working on revamping the fairground rental agreement. And it's just, currently it's super cumbersome, and also want to clarify probably in public meeting who gets to use the property without fee, who gets to use the property without fee or liability insurance, and then also who is required to fill out an application or not, because the application itself is pretty much indemnifying us from liability. So I think there's so much gray there that, and I apologize, we probably should have done this back in February, but sooner rather than later. So that's all I have.
Okay.
And one more ad for, this is
It's all right.
For
This
your
is our
sake,
time for
Commissioner.
discussion.
Commissioner Fackrell. So I was asked to be on Outdoor Recreation. They just this year created initiative regions. So there's 5 regions in the state
Right.
now, and I was asked to be on the Northern Region Board. So it's pretty exciting, and
Okay.
I accepted it, but I told them I'm pretty busy. But I said, how much time does it take? Because
I will
if
do
I'm
it.
going to say yes, I need to commit to this, because I think it'll be a great opportunity for Morgan to be able to have a say in what we're doing and what projects are coming through. So I think I'll be directly in contact with you more often than I am even now, Commissioner Franco. So
Well,
just
since,
wanted to make you aware.
okay. Yeah, since I'm over Outdoor Rec, I would like that. Either that or I'll do it.
No, I accept it all. We'll get it together.
All right. You miss one meeting and I go. Okay. Any other discussion items?
I'll make a
Okay.
motion that we go into closed session to discuss the disposition of real property.
Second.
Okay. You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner McConnell and seconded by Commissioner Anderson to go into a closed session for the purpose of acquisition or disposition of property. And before we do that, we have to do something else.
We have to waive the rules.
We have to waive the rules before we can go into closed session to allow Commissioner Newton to be online in the closed session. So I need that motion before we can go. Actually, we need to withdraw the motion first before we can go.
I'll withdraw my motion and make a motion that we go into closed session and allow Commissioner Newton to, we waive the rules so that he can participate electronically.
I will withdraw my second and officially agree to the second now.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to officially suspend the rules to allow Commissioner Newton to come into session with us. Are you able?
I am, yep, I'm in
Okay.
Separate
All those in
space.
favor of that motion,
Aye.
say aye. Aye,
Aye.
okay. All right, passes.